Welcome to the Ethical Society of St. Louis. Platform will begin in 5 minutes. Feel welcome to have a seat.
Y'all take your seats. Hey, y'all. My name is Matthew Heil. My pronouns are he, him, and y'all. It was one of the few things the South got right. They have a gender-neutral, number-neutral pronoun. It's perfect. And I'm the volunteer host for today. I'm grateful that we can gather together in the spirit of shared values, community, and fellowship. Whether you're a longtime member or first-time visitor here in person or joining via our live stream, we're glad that you're here. We are truly fortunate to be in this community together. Our first musical guest today is our very own music director, Claire Minnis, joined by her sister, Grace Minnis. The first selection is Baker by Amy Carter.
So Amy Carty is a very young songwriter, I think in high school or university, and I found her on the internet. That's how we find things these days. Once upon a time I was a baker, and everybody was impressed. But I didn't need to prove it because I already knew I was the best. Everything I made was a masterpiece. It all tastes like heaven. But then, unfortunately, I turned 7. Once upon a time I was a painter, and everybody said, wow, girl, you're so clever, you're so talented. And I agreed, and I stood proud. I painted mountains, I painted blue lakes, I painted people, I drew portraits. But then I drew my dad and held it up beside him, and I realized that it looked nothing like him. And part of me wished nobody had told her. But I guess it's just a part of getting older. Once upon a time I was a runner. I was the fastest in the town. They'd all say nobody would outrun her, 'cause she's the fastest girl around. Once upon a time I was a dancer. It took no effort. I was a scientist, I was an expert, I was a genius, and I thought nothing of it until they told me that I wasn't. And part of me wished nobody had told her. But I guess it's just a part of getting older. When you learn you're supposed to follow perfectly inside of the lines, you're supposed to win at least a couple 100 times before you even have the right to think or say or show you're any good at all. They'll tell you that there's only one right way, one paved path, or you'll make a fool of yourself and everyone will laugh. They'll make you feel like everybody's waiting there to watch you as you fall. They sigh, they tell me I'm a dreamer, they say someone's gotta wake her. But I'll smile and I'll say once upon a time I was a baker.
I've been thinking about the creativity of young kids, because everybody's family has words that a young child said that you still use, right? They're much more creative than us old folks. Thank you.
Sure.
Each week we read the Ethical Education for Youth core values as a way to bring us together and remind us of our shared commitments. During the school year, we have one of our young people read them, but since the program is on summer break, I am a young person. However, you all know that I'm not very good at following exact instructions. I'm an Ethical Society culture member. So today I'm going to give you a choice. I had ChatGPT generate our core values into a sonnet, okay? Or we can do a responsive reading where I read one line and you read the next. So we're going to vote, okay? Who wants the sonnet? I know Allison votes no on this. Okay. Okay, and who wants to do the responsive? The responsive people are up in front, so they get to choose. You'll just have to wait for next time. If I can persuade Allison that I can read this sonnet, then we're all set. Okay, here are the words. I do the first line, you guys do the second one, and we'll alternate, all right? Every person is important and unique. I can learn from everyone. I learn from the world around me by using my senses, mind, and feelings. I can learn from the past to build for the future. And we do free. Yes, I am free to choose what I believe. And all together, I strive to live my values. You all did really well. I am shocked. Okay, it's now time for opening words, where we get to learn more about our fellow members and their interests and passions. This is a time to deepen our connections with one another. Today, we invite Kent and Joellen Forrest, in honor of their 60th wedding anniversary, to speak with us.
Amazing, we were able to walk up the steps. And good morning. We are Mr. Kent and Mrs. Joellen Forrest. And last Thursday, August the 15th, we achieved another milestone in our marriage with our 60th wedding anniversary. In 2014, we celebrated our 50th anniversary here at the Ethical Society and gave a platform address on various marriage customs and our own marriage history in particular. If anyone is interested in the talk, you can check out the pod link, hopefully above, or you can do a search for it at the Ethical website, ethicalstl.org. For all past platform presentations as well. Nothing much has changed in our daily lives in the past decade, besides having doctor appointments and more pills, and watching our children, grandchildren, and ourselves grow older. But overall, we are still doing fairly well. We both feel very fortunate that we found one another. But we care, talk, and play and work together every day to keep our love alive. We wish everyone happiness and joy, and evidently, in your own relationships, no matter what directions they take. We owe a great deal to our friends, family, and to the Ethical Society. All have aided us in this wonderful journey together, and we want to thank you for your support. After platform this morning, we invite all of you to join us downstairs in the Becker Room for some beautiful cake, punch, coffee, tea, and shared memories. And yes, we also have gluten-free and vegetarian cupcakes available. Please ask the server. And now for some last words from my wife, my lover, my mistress, my best friend, caregiver, political, moral, and spiritual advisor, and personal therapist, Joellen.
60 years ago, during our wedding ceremony, I recited the following vows. Remember, this was in a church. I, Joellen, take thee, Kent, to be my wedded husband, and I do promise and covenant before God and these witnesses to be a loving and faithful wife, in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live. We memorize these vows and repeat them often to each other to this day, except the God part. Even though these words sound kind of old-fashioned, I think they pretty much partly describe what it takes to have a good marriage and relationship. It has worked for us. Claire will now perform Moon River, which we think beautifully describes our journey through life together. Thank you for listening to our story.
Moon River, wider than a mile, I'm crossing you in style someday. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker, wherever you're going, I'm going your way. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows and waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend, Moon River and me. Congrats.
If you're a member and would like to share opening words, we will happily get you on the schedule. You can contact our interim director, Amy Miller, Carol Beer, or send an email to the platform speakers team. The team takes turns recruiting people each month, so you may be asked to give opening words. I hope you will take advantage of that opportunity to share about yourselves in some safe place. Just say, sure. You will be happy to. And Kent, your description of the relationship and all of the roles that fill, I think that is the signal of a great relationship. It's not one thing, it is multiple things for that person. So let's welcome Claire and Grace back for the second musical suggestion, Walking in the Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves.
Used to think maybe you love me, now baby I'm sure. And I just can't wait till the day when you knock on my door. Now every time I go to the mailbox, I gotta hold myself down. I just can't wait till you write me you're coming around. And I'm walking on sunshine, sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, and don't it feel good?
I'm envious of your family. I can just imagine you all at family gatherings, sitting around and playing beautiful music. It's like the 50s. You know, people used to do that in the 50s. Not my family. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. Okay, before our main address, we like to take a moment to empty our minds, relax our bodies, and take some mindful, deep breaths. Please join me for 1 minute of mindful breathing. Thank you. It's August, which means that it's hot. It's actually not too hot, but it also means it's Members Speak Month, and we get to hear even more from our amazing, talented members. Today, our speaker is Blake Marduk. Blake is a graduate of Truman State University, where he studied the teaching and the physiological effects on the human body after exposure to various forms of hypnotism, storytelling, and humor stimuli. He will be speaking with us today about authentic joy and ways to inspire and motivate joy within ourselves and our community. Blake?
Thank you all so much for having me here today. There we go. Is it working? Oh, perfect. All right. And I could not have asked for a better introduction or musical selections. It was wonderful. Thank you all so much. And happy 60th anniversary. You both are an amazing part of our community. So today I'm going to speak to you again about authentic joy, barriers, boundaries, and beyond yourself. So I know it's kind of weird to quote yourself. But as many of you remember, back in September, I gave some opening words, and I have had people ever since that time come up to me and tell me how powerful, how motivating, and question how I was able to lead such a bright and impactful life, even despite all those adversities. And so, again, one of the most powerful things that people said and quoted back to me after those opening words were, "I smile because there's nothing in this world that I would rather do." And that is something that is so imperative to my being that it's something that I think to myself whenever I'm in hard times, right? So, introduction. We're in a weird time. Our community has been talking about various local issues that have been going on, national issues, international issues. I won't get into those, but we all know what they are, and they're all things that have been causing us stress and strife within our communities, right? And so whenever I got asked to do a platform, I knew when it was going to be, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do it on. And so I set out. And over the last several months, I've been doing some interviews with people who are either congregants here or come to various groups, go to various community gatherings here that are within the building. And so I interviewed about a little over 50 people And I've kind of gotten together all the common themes of the barriers that all of you said impeded you from joy, boundaries, things to keep your own joy safe, and beyond yourself, how to cultivate it in others. So this is, I didn't add any of the numbers, I'm sorry. But this is going to be much more of a qualitative rather than a quantitative presentation. So what we're going to do, first, we're going to look at the barriers. What keeps us from joy? Then we're going to do our boundaries. How do we protect our joy? Then we're going to do how we cultivate it in each other. And then we're going to do, I have some resources that various members of the congregation gave to me. Either books I've read, podcasts, or things like that that I would recommend giving to you to kind of continue this theme of searching for joy in life. Next, it's going to be tips from your friends. These are going to be things that were more honorable mentions than the top 5 of each of these categories. And then afterwards, after I'm done, please feel free to come and speak to me at coffee hour or literally anytime. I would love to have a conversation with all of you. So this is a quote that was given to me by my lovely friend Marianne. And it was, joy is an act of resistance from Toy Darracott. And this comes from a collection of stories from a book called, quote, I. And it's, that's the passage, and it comes from the Tally Cycle. And whenever this was spoken to me, joy is an act of resistance, it resonated so heavily. Because in a world where things seem to just bog us down all the time and like we are profited, like companies profit off of us being scared and being afraid. Being joyful and like keeping that at the forefront is something that continually allows us to stay focused and grounded in reality. So, without further ado, we're going to go into the barriers. What keeps us from joy? These are the top 5 things that all of you, of all my about 50 interviews, these are the top 5 things that kind of came through. And it's going to be, the first barrier is realizing that it's not just about feeling good. The societal pressures that kind of keep us from feeling that joy, unresolved traumas, comparison and envy towards other people and their joy, and then also the struggles with finding your community. So first, not just about feeling good, right? Joy isn't momentary. You know, there was a very there's a large distinction between what is pleasure, what is happiness, and what is true joy, right? And so it wasn't just this momentary feeling, it's this outlook. It was this distinction of, I need this in my life to stay sane. And then it's just this sense of deeper satisfaction. The next one is societal pressures, right? It's stifling our true selves. It's our fear of being seen weird. Some of the examples that I got for this were, one of the members I spoke to participates in the Naked Bike Ride of St. Louis. It's a big phenomenon. It's really great. And they're like, I just really like it. And I feel like if I did it any other time, everybody would look at me and call the cops. Don't call the cops. And then another one that I spoke to was talking about the Ren Fair. It's coming up here this fall. And they were like, I want to dress as a wizard in Walmart, but people look at you weird and they judge you and they treat you differently. And so these are those things that like society may frown upon, even though they may bring out the joys of your heart, right? And then unresolved traumas. We have your past emotional wounds, and these truly impede your ability or willingness to like accept the joyful things that are in your life, right? These are things that will almost blind you to the potential that is right in front of you or even within yourself. And then comparison and envy. This one honestly probably should have been further up on the list, but a lot of you said that whenever you were younger, you felt like you were inadequate. You had feelings that you weren't doing as well as the other people around you, or doing as well as people who were older than you. And so a lot of you said that you almost felt left out or afraid to engage in things because you weren't in that same bracket of success, right? And so it's this feelings of comparison and envy that were distracting you from your journey to that success and to that joy and just being present with your community, and it kept you from it. And lastly, one of the major barriers that we have is finding your community. What is the community that enriches you? I know I'm going to say this over and over throughout this presentation, but being engaged with each other is one of the most important and impactful things that all of you told me was imperative to your own joy, right? And so it's this feelings of feeling isolated, this desire to be understood. Why are you here in this building right now? And it's because you wanted to be in a community and not feel isolated. So you found your place here. Next, we're going to go with our boundaries. How we protect our joy. Now, this isn't just boundaries that we have within ourselves. These are boundaries that we have for ourselves, right? These are boundaries that we have for other people to respect theirs and to respect ours. So the top 5 things that all of you said that you thought were most important for your boundaries were making sure you had boundaries. You can't have boundaries unless you make sure you know what they are, right? And then you need to be able to communicate those boundaries with other people so that they can be respected. But also you need to respect other people's boundaries. That's also important. Prioritizing yourself, self-care. What is it that you can do to make sure that you are keeping yourself in a position where you can experience that joy, right? And then this is a very important one, learning to say no. I've struggled with this myself a lot, and we're going to get into it, all right? I went backwards. Am I good? Perfect. So establishing clear boundaries. I'm going to give you a little cheat code on this one, right? So the big thing to establishing clear boundaries is defining what your values are. We just did a call and response, didn't we? Of what some values are. You can use those as a little cheat code to define what your own values are, but I would encourage you to find what it is in your life that you value and what gives your life meaning, right? And so define your values. Figure out what is acceptable, what is permissible, and what isn't. And make sure that you have that sense of self. Next is prioritizing self-care. You need to spend, similar to Kent and Joellen, they spent the last 60 years rejuvenating themselves with someone who is meaningful and lovely to them and have been their own confidants. Find people who can be there for you, right? Engage when it builds you. And that is the important part, when it builds you. Engage when it is something that lifts you up and gives you energy, right? And accept your own flaws. Now, I'm going to say this multiple times, within reason, right? People have flaws, that is okay. You have flaws, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But you need to be able to accept them within reason because you are not going to be perfect, and you need to almost distance yourself from that idea of perfectionism so that you can experience the joy when they arrive. Communicating assertively, expressing your needs. This was something that people tended to say that they struggled a lot with, is being able to say them in ways that weren't dismissive of other people's opinions, that weren't disrespectful, but doing it nonetheless was so important. It helps avoid misunderstandings and resentment. A lot of joy is reciprocal within your community, and being able to avoid these misunderstandings is imperative. Next, respecting others. Honor the boundaries of others. Like I said, having your own boundaries so that way you can protect your own joy is important, but you're not the only person here. So allowing other people to have their boundaries to experience their joy is just as important, because as a community, our joys lift each other up. And learning to say no. It is essential. It is essential. Focusing on what matters to you. Focusing on what you can do. What can you do with your time, with your energy, with your skills, and being able to make a meaningful contribution, not only within your community, but for yourself. Being selfish is not a crime. You can be selfish, but also knowing that you have ways in which you benefit your community more is important to know what those are. So also know that you may not always be respected, but that's not your responsibility. It says more about other people whenever they do not respect your boundaries than it says about you. And it says that you are able to understand yourself and what you need. Okay, beyond yourself. This is the one that I keep bringing back. I am such a community person, and all of you know that, and bringing it all together because that is why we're here, right? And so the top 5 things that you all said were about being beyond yourself and with a community is 1, be engaged. Be engaged, be thoughtful, be purposeful about going to things and talking to people, encouraging others. You need to be there for each other, right? Celebrate your wins. And I'll get into that one a little bit later. Accepting the flaws in others. You're not the only one that has flaws. Other people also have flaws. And then just do your best to make genuine connections, right? Okay, so, my bad. Why beyond yourself, right? You need to be engaged. You need to be engaged. You need to talk to people. Go up to your neighbors. Go up to people. You know how we always say, hey, maybe stand up and greet somebody after platform. How many of you immediately go right back down to coffee hour, right? So if you, or sit somewhere else. Go down and chat with somebody during coffee hour. Show genuine interest in what they're doing and support them. Because whenever you find out what they're into, finding out what other people are doing, you have an opportunity to find something that might spark joy within yourself, right? Encourage others. Recognize others' achievements. Whenever, for example, we have a 60th wedding anniversary. That is so amazing. Give it up for him. That is so amazing. That is love. That is love and dedication incarnate. It is so beautiful, right? And it is a journey of empowerment, compassion, and collective growth. Whenever they are here sharing how much they love each other during their 50 year, during their 60 year, and telling us how they did it, that helps us look inward and see how we can find that joy for ourselves, right? Celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins. 60th anniversary, that is incredible. Sharing your success. There's a term out there, it's called shine theory, right? And I'll get into that a little bit later with a book recommendation, but it was one that was recommended to me. And the shine theory goes, I win when you win, right? I shine when you shine, and you shine when I shine. And so it's this idea of this reciprocity between each other, and whenever you're celebrating yourself, other people are celebrating with you because when you are lifted up, they are too. Oh, boop. There we go. Accepting the flaws in others. It's not all about you. Sometimes it is, but it's not always all about you. And so let others have their life, right? Let them have their life. Does it affect you so much that you are impeding your own joy, right? Does it directly affect you? If people are having, their little squabbles, that you are a third party, and sometimes it doesn't relate to you. And sometimes it's not a flaw. Sometimes things that people do that might irk you or annoy you are just a quirk. And being able to separate that from yourself is how you help keep your joy and also encourage other people to be themselves. Making genuine connections. This one is so important. Learn about other people. Learn about what they do. Learn about what brings them joy. How many of you have had a conversation with me, and what is one of the first questions that I ask you, or new people that walk into the building? It's on the board. What do you do for fun? It's my favorite question. Because whenever I ask somebody, what do you do for fun? I get to see their eyes light up. They sparkle because they love to talk about themselves. They love to be able to tell me what they're into. And it's just so much fun because I get to figure out, how can I connect with somebody on this? Or eventually, if we don't have something that I can connect with them that they're saying, hopefully that reciprocity will be engaged and they will ask me what I do for fun, and we can go from there and take another step to try to make a connection, right? So making that genuine connection, caring about what other people do, caring about what they care about is so important. The next thing that we have is I have some book recommendations. These aren't just recommendations that I have for you. These are recommendations that were given to me by our community, right? And so the first one is Toy Erica. Again, it's this book called The Telecycle. It's a mesh of short stories and poems that are LGBTQIA plus inclusive, and it talks about the struggles that people have within those communities and how they find joy and compassion within each other and their communities. The next one is Minato So and Anne Friedman. They have a book called Big Friendship. They also have a podcast of the same name, and these are the people that are coined the term shine theory. I shine when you shine when I shine. I also have the book in my car if anybody would like to borrow it. Another one, David Foster Wallace. A lot of you may know him from his book called Infinite Jest. However, I was recommended one that's called This Is Water. Now, this book it's more about being present. It's more about having such a deep awareness of your surroundings and the people around you that it engages you and forces you to look at how people are acting so that way you can be curious about them. The last one is Dr. Daniel Gilbert and his book, Stumbling on Happiness. This is about the little tiny things that you don't really think about, such as the flavors of your coffee every morning, if you are just a daily coffee drinker, or the tea leaves that float up into your tea because they escape the little metal pouch, right? And so it's just these tiny little things that as you go through life, you stumble on that happiness. The next thing that we have are some honorable mentions from our friends. Just from your friends. These are things that didn't quite get a whole lot of similar votes to each other, but I thought they were worth mentioning. And the first one is cultivate gratitude. I was told, this is more of a quote, I should have put it in a quote, but you may not be able to change your soil, but you can choose what grows around you, right? You get to pick what plants you grow and how you cultivate them. And it's not your job to run every system that's around you. You get to decide what grows in your yard. But it is your job to see the best in it where you can and be happy with it. It is your job to have your yard. It is your job to have your garden and be happy with what grows in it. And so that, like, being able to be present with that joy. This is one from our lovely director, Amy. You are a delight. People think you are a delight. Even if you may not think that you're a delight all the time, other people think you are a delight. You are amazing. You are incredible. People love to be around you, right? So surround yourself with people who think you are amazing. It's not just fun. It's not just exciting, and it's not just novel. It's not a like, oh my gosh, we just met. This is so great. It's people who say, oh, hey, you've been gone from Ethical Society for 4 weeks. Where have you been? I've missed you. Who are those people to you? Who are the people that are around you that light up when you walk into a room? I would encourage you to just take a minute and think about that. Think about who lights up when you walk into a room. And as you think about that, maybe reach out to them. It might spark more joy in you. Lastly, take up space. Why are you here? Why are you here in this room? You are here to be here. I know that sounds like a silly answer, right? You're here to be here, and you're here to take up space, right? You may not change the world at large, but you can change the world in your community because you are here. So be here, right? If you feel like you belong somewhere, act like you belong there, because you do. You do belong there just by having your presence in that area. And I mean that in like a more positive way. So you guys know the boundaries that you should not be crossing. I trust you. You're all smart. Start conversations. Start groups. Be the one in charge of something that you want it to happen. Last week, you all got a talk from Becca McElprang about the ASPEC community, right? They started that. Along with my partner, Addison Schwam, Becca and Addison started this. They saw a need, and they said, hey, we want to have a support group for things that are important to us and that people can come and be together. So they started it. It's actually in this room. It's on the first Tuesday of the month and the last Thursday of the month. It's a great, wonderful time. Start it. I know we keep having these conversations about, like, if you want something to happen at the Ethical Society, start it yourself. How many of you heard that? Yeah? There's a reason why you keep saying it. It's because it's true. Maybe you should try it. And stop waiting for others to do it for you. If you want it to happen, do it, right? The next thing is we have some more tips from me, also your friend. I hope. And this is going to be one about celebrating your wins, right? But then I thought about it a little deeper. And it's like, do you know what your wins are? Can you think about how you are winning in your community? Do you know how to share that, right? Can you identify what is a win? What is it that's important to you? Did you get a new job? Did you get a raise? Did you have a kid? Did you make it out of bed? Right? Did you brush your teeth for the first time in a week because you just can't seem to do it or remember? Everyone's wins are different. Share them. Celebrate them. Let other people celebrate you, right? If it's a win for you, it's a win for the people who matter. The next thing is joy can be found everywhere. Everywhere. It's not just in the big things. It's in the small things. You can find joys in the mundane, right? And what is it that's about the mundane? The mundane is always there. That's why it's called that. And so if joy can be found in the mundane, joy can be found anytime. This is my favorite one. It's cool to care. Many of you may have heard me say it in less eloquent ways, either in conversations or in forums, platforms, but it's cool to care. How often have you heard a phrase like, who cares? I almost said it in the worst way. But who cares? It doesn't matter. It does matter. Things matter to you. So let them matter. Care. Be engaged. If an issue bothers you, that means that to some degree it is important to you. So let it be important. Figure out why it's bothering you, why it is important to you, and care about it in a way that is progressive for you and engaging, right? Question the things that you're unsure of. That's caring. If you hear something in an article or on the radio or overhear a conversation because you're just being a little too nosy and you don't get the full context and you're like, that's a little weird. Care about it. Look into it. Research it yourself, right? Caring is taking the responsibility to make sure that you are engaging yourself that in a way that is productive for your own community, right? And then caring is striving, right? It's striving to be better. It's caring about yourself. It's striving to engage yourself in this community. Again, I keep saying being engaged, but that was the biggest answer that all of you gave me. About 43 of you out of my 53 answers said be engaged. That's huge. We're going to come to a close here. Authentic joy. I know I keep saying about joy, 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 joy. And there's other emotions that you have, but it's important to keep this one at the forefront because we're in a place where we need to embrace ourselves, right? We're here at the Ethical Society because this is a place where we can talk about ideas that are meaningful and matter. And to me, this one is one that is meaningful and it matters, is keeping joy at the forefront. It's protecting yourself. It's being engaged. It's remembering that joy isn't just about feeling good. It's about being aligned with your values. We didn't just repeat the core values back to each other because we're a little culty, right? Maybe some of you. Maybe me. No, you did it because they matter and they're meaningful to you and that they actually have an impact, right? And so having this authentic joy, having it for you, you can inspire yourself, but also you can inspire others. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me up here. Again, if you'd like to talk with me after conference, okay? If you'd like to talk to me after platform or any at all, please do. Thank you.
That's a perfect example of our community. So Blake said a couple things that I think are really tied in. Next month we have a special movie called Join or Die. which is about getting together in groups to do things that are important. So I encourage you all to look at that in the calendar and come out. And the other thing, the shine theory, that's what Adler said. Bring out the best in others and thereby in yourself. So it's exactly the same sort of notion that we get much more from giving than we do from taking. Thank you. Really good. Our welcome team will now take up a collection to support the society. We rely on the generosity of members and friends, so please consider donating. If you don't have cash with you today, you can donate at ethicalstl.org/donate or use the QR code on the screen. We appreciate anything you may be able to offer. If you're interested in joining the society, and just say sure, and would like to know more about it, please visit our Visitors Connect table downstairs in the back of room for coffee hour. There are no announcements today, other than reminding you to go downstairs for your particular choice of 60th anniversary treats. We'd love to keep you informed about the future events at the Society. You may use the QR code to sign up for our weekly newsletter, check the Friends of the Ethical Society Facebook group, or email the relevant staff person or member. This is a busy and vibrant place, and we rely on volunteers. And I hope you get involved and connected into the community in ways that you find meaningful. Let's welcome Claire and Grace for one last time. Johnny Nash tune, I Can See Clearly Now.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. And look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
So oftentimes up here you hear tales of things that are terrible and awful. And today we really have a bright, sunshiny day with a wonderfully uplifting platform and good community. So I welcome you all for that. Thank you for being here today, for each other and for yourselves. I hope the platform helped you feel more connected to one another and motivated to get connected. I invite you to return next Sunday to hear member Brian Vandenberg and to spend more time in community. There's coffee in the Becking room downstairs. If you're new and don't know where that is, just follow the people that look thirsty. And there's an elevator over here as well. So have a great day and a wonderful week. Thank you very much.